episode, Everyday Struggle, Nadeska with my guys Wayno and DJ Akademiks. You've made it through another week.
Cheers.
Cheers, Zach.
Cheers, madame.
Cheers. Let's take the DJ off his name now. I'm taking the
Yeah,
DJ.
Crazy as hell.
He doesn't DJ anymore.
When are
Crazy
you
as
going
hell.
to officially drop the DJ?
Yeah.
The DJ never getting dropped, and when I start hitting out a club for 15,000 an appearance,
What?
for me to DJ.
An appearance, not to DJ.
No, I'm a DJ too.
You gonna DJ?
Yeah,
All
but
right.
now I don't listen. I do it what pays me the most.
I still think you should just be Akademiks.
Run my mouth.
I think you got enough name recognition now. That
Hell
you
no,
don't need the DJ.
I love
Chatty
DJ.
Patty
I do
act.
love DJ.
Chatty Patty.
I got to return to my roots.
You gotta return.
Yeah,
when you
man.
do
Yo,
the Jamaican
I ain't gonna
drops.
lie. I wanna go to a DJ'd act party. Like, I
Yo,
really would.
it was go on YouTube.
Leaf
yo.
told me it was lit.
Bro, you ever heard of you ever seen Pasa Pasa like on Instagram? This dude like it's wild. I come from that, so I
Okay.
remember when I went to the college scene, I was trying to make that shit too wild. A
Yeah.
couple colleges, private colleges banned me. But it was
Leaf
over.
told me he basically does like, you know how he talks on his video blogs? He basically does that while he's DJing.
That shit must be actually kind of amazing.
Like
Imagine
he'll say
just
this
being-
this going on in the corner, and he'll call out some whole.
I'm not gonna lie, yo. There's a couple of examples for the people who ask the rhetorical question, do you DJ? I could really like Google, like DJ Akademiks, DJ in the literally it's like a porno, bro. I'm not even gonna lie.
Like a what?
Oh.
It's like a porno in a party.
You're DJing?
That's how Jamaican
least the
parties
parties that
are,
I be
though.
doing.
That's how
Okay,
Jamaican
okay.
parties are. But
That's
it's
what's
hard to
Jamaican
bring Jamaica to Jersey like that, though. But anyway.
I did.
Hey, we'll pull
For a
up.
while.
We'll pull up.
All right.
All right, DJ Akademiks, it is. All right, guys, so it's happening. Meek Mill's album is coming, and sooner than we thought. He confirmed with Vogue that it's coming on November 30th. So this is going to be his follow-up to Wins and Losses, which dropped in 2017, his first full-length project since he's been home from prison.
Right.
Now we can officially talk about expectations. This could be a major, major career moment for Meek, yeah?
Yeah. I think it's a pivotal moment. I mean, like, you know, I did hear a lot of music, but I don't know exactly what the album is. Like, so.
Just trying to cover your tracks.
No,
you know?
some real shit. He played me like 25 songs, but he didn't play it like in sequence. This is how I'm starting, this is how I'm finishing, this is here.
So for the 25 you heard, based on like what we fans know of
Yeah.
Meek, are we gonna be surprised or does it make sense? Is it in his lane?
It makes sense it's in his lane. I think like a lot of the shit that he did play me was like, of course, the typical stuff we want to hear from him. It's like, okay, you went through this whole situation over the past like 14 months. How's your mindset? How do you feel as a father? He has all of that. And it feels like an instruction booklet on what not to do. It's a lot of maturity in it from what I heard. That's what I'm saying. I haven't heard the album because I'm pretty sure it's not going to be 25
So
songs.
you couldn't tell which one was the intro?
Nah, there's no intro. Like, he didn't play me nothing. He was like, this is the intro.
The one with Cardi B? Maybe.
No, the joint with Cardi B is hard. Like, that joint's hard. And he got another joint on there. He got a few joints on there. But if it's around the songs that he played me, I'm very excited. But if it isn't, I'm gonna be surprised. Be surprised.
So he's been a lot in this conversation about him being a legend. We confirmed, established Meek is 100% a legend. Just curious what this album could do for his career, what it could mean at this point.
Well, I know for me, this is gonna take Meek where his true destiny is gonna be. Like, first of all, and you mentioned it before we even got on camera, like, I think Meek's profile is higher than it's ever been. The eyes and the people who are listening to Meek, I don't think they were listening 2 years ago, but because, of course, he has these associations and he was blessed enough to kind of be almost the face of prison reform. I'm gonna give him that.
Yeah,
he's
right.
the face of prison reform right now. His platform has really increased. So honestly, Meek's always been an unpolished street rapper who really only spoke for the kid on the corner, and that kid on the corner who was making mistakes, shit, Meek, even while he was rich, was still making mistakes. Meek spoke directly to him.
Right.
But he's grown, and he's grown, shoot, some by choice and some not by choice.
Right.
And he's at the position where you could either you're gonna angle your music where you still connect to that person, but you also speak to others,
Right.
and even like try to be like a beacon for change, and that's what his actions seem to be. Or, you know, sometimes if you go either or, you could be the guy who's super polished now, you're doing Vogues, the GQs, you're doing these big outlets because that's where your recognition is, and then that dude on the corner loses you. So I'm looking at not only how the music's gonna come out, but how he's gonna angle everything and pretty much just his moves going forward. And this album is pretty much the first thing we're gonna see.
Right.
Like even from the singles, I'm waiting to see the singles.
Right.
I'm waiting to
Because
see
we
how
always get the singles from him.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see how the video looks.
Right.
Are we looking like we're getting the same type of Meek that's more mature, but he's still that guy, or you know what, he's taking a pivot. So.
By the way, we're already 2 weeks out from this album, right?
Right.
So I don't know how many singles and videos we're gonna get in the meantime.
Yeah, I doubt we're gonna get a lot. But ironically, I think this situation like helped him a lot more than it hurt him. And what I mean by that is like I was watching, like T Grizzly has a documentary up like called Off Parole, and I was watching it yesterday, and it was a councilwoman that was saying, I think parole kind of helped him in a sense of like he always wanted to do community stuff, but because it was mandated, it made him get more into it. So like, of course, you know, Meek has been fighting like these cases and all this shit for a long time, but if he doesn't have like the situation where he goes back to jail for all of this, do we still get the direction of jail reform that we have from him now, right? So in a sense, you know, you got to turn your lemons to lemonade. I think he'll be
disguise, right?
a blessing in
In some
disguise. I
ways.
think he'll be good. I think he'll be good, but like I said, from the music that I heard, I think people would be happy with it.
Yeah, I'm just hoping the pressure of him feeling like he has to rep that movement doesn't kind of lead him too much astray from what makes Meek Mill Meek Mill.
Your favorite album from T.I., Paper Trail, right? I think that, I wouldn't say it's like the narrative, but I think he has one of those, remember Paper Trail was a real pivotal moment in T.I.'s career. I think like, for analogy-wise, like this is his paper trail. You know, like this is the joint that's gonna take him into a different conversation. And we still gonna get Meek who Meek is, but we're gonna get to understand who he is as a man, not the guy who just rode dirt bikes, not the guy just from the street, just him as a man. I think that's what it's gonna do for him.
Okay.
All right, November 30th, coming soon. Pretty excited for this one.
Wayno, you sure he's gonna come up here? He's doing Vogue, bro. I don't know if he's gonna.
I think it's
He
a
might not
wrap for
come
us.
sit with us on culture.
No one
Talk.
goes to Vogue, then comes to Everyday Struggle.
When we finish, I'm gonna FaceTime and see what's good.
He's like, I'm on my photo shoot right now. Don't bother me.
On Meek Mill press run, it might be GQ, Forbes,
Wall Street
Rolling
Journal.
Stone, Wall Street Journal, Everyday Struggle. Get this shit out of here.
Nah, man, nah.
It's all love, though.
If he got to deal with only you, maybe, but he got to deal with me too. So.
Hey, listen, I'm just watching how he moves his press.
You guys still haven't met yet, right?
Nah, actually, I could have almost met him. Tory Lanez shot a video with him, I think the drip video.
Yeah, that was recent.
And and he wanted me for like a cameo. He said, I got Tory Lanez face up. Y'all got a perfect role for you, bro. I'm doing this video. I'm like, Tory,
Tory's
you do a
so
video
wild.
every week. He was like, yo, Meek is in it, this and third. I'm like, wait,
Tory,
he was talking so quick, I didn't even, I'm like,
yo, Tory's so fucking wild. Like, he be there directing his shit too. Like, he'll be
Really?
He's different, yo. Like, he's really different. Like, I've seen him on set before. I wasn't at that video shoot. I'm talking about something unrelated, and like, he was really working with his cameraman. Like, all his people are in-house, so I think he has that relationship, but he's telling like all the people like, nah, y'all need to do this, y'all need to do that. So Tory's a hell of a talent.
Respect. Okay.
Right.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do an anniversary. So usually we try to keep these in the 5 to 10 year span, but it's a Black album, so we have to do it. Turned 15 years this week, which is so crazy. So remember, this was Jay's 8th studio album. He claimed he was gonna retire. Of course he didn't, and we're glad that he didn't, but this was an amazing marketing move, I think, one of the greatest of all time. But anyway, just the music, how has this album aged to you guys?
Oh man, I mean, at this time I was working at Rockefeller when we did this album. Nobody was allowed to go to the studio. Like, seriously, like, you had to, before, everything was done in Baseline, and like, it was in the office, like, nobody can go to Baseline for these next 2 weeks. Like, nobody could use that studio because he had locked it out. But this album has aged very well. I mean, every time we come upon an anniversary for it, whether it's 5 or 10 or 15, we could always remember the time of everything that was going on. He changed how people was dressing. Remember, everybody was wearing jerseys. I don't wear jerseys. I'm 30 plus.
Yeah.
Give me a nice button up. Like, had everybody wearing button ups. You couldn't get in a club without a button up on for the next like 3 years. So it changed a lot of things, but this album was special.
Yeah, the production, I was listening to it again last night. It's like, I don't know, it sounds brand new every time you listen to it.
Yeah.
Ak, what are your memories of the Black Album? Where were you in life? 2003?
Freshly in America.
It wasn't 2003.
It was 2003.
Is it 2005? Is it?
No, 2005. He didn't put out an album. 2006 he put out Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come came.
I think, yeah, 2006 was Kingdom Come.
Well, I always thought this was his most unappreciated album.
Really?
Because
Who didn't appreciate this though?
Because when people talk about
Niggas like Act.
No. A lot of people. When people talk about the classic that Jay has, this is a top 3 Jay album. To me.
Yeah.
Ooh, I might even put it 2 after Reasonable Doubt.
Oh, I don't know about that.
It's that high on my list. You
I
get
don't
me?
know about that.
And I think when people, I never saw the appreciation for this until Jay ranked his own albums and he like did the picture.
Oh
And
yeah, I
then
remember all the CDs.
Where was
and
this in the ranking?
This was around 4 for
Okay.
him, but it was definitely top 5.
Yeah.
And you know, he has a lot of good projects. I mean, American Gangster is a very dope project. So this one always ranked up there for me. I felt like the whole album was structured amazing. Like even from the interlude that opened it, I did think you could have started with the public service announcement.
Yeah.
But even
But Encore is still up there at the top.
but
and
even
that was-
December 4th,
you know, so-
December 4th, and what more can I say?
Yeah.
Those songs were like so cinematic in terms of how it built up and like the story he was telling. And also you got to realize that this time period, you also got to, unless I'm really tripping about this, that DVD came out, The Fade to Black,
yeah.
which really kind of made that whole moment,
Yeah.
which was, by the way, it was very complex because there was other things going on that you just didn't see in that documentary or movie, whatever we want to call. I just thought that this was it. Like even watching how he got the Lucifer beat, watching him and Kanye vibe out,
God,
watching him and
Pharrell, yeah. Change clothes.
yeah,
and
watching
Allure
him
and
watching him in Just Blaze, watching him in Tim. You get me? It gave me such a it is the most, at least for that point in my life, it was and actually even since then, I haven't seen any album that came out that I enjoyed where I felt it was documented with, like, I felt like I was going with the artist along making that process.
Can I say something? Ak is really impressing me with this. I didn't know that he had this much to say about
You
the
be
Black
hitting
album.
on my guy over here. He appreciates good music.
Yeah, some
He just
days
doesn't
I don't
always
fuck
show
with Ak.
it.
Some days
Nah,
I
doesn't
do.
always
Black
show it.
album. Listen, when I was very new to America when he dropped Blueprint,
Right.
the original
Yeah.
one. This shit was, and that's why I rank it. Other than Reasonable Doubt, because I heard Reasonable Doubt afterwards, but like that's a fucking masterpiece, right? And beyond that, like I almost put this above Blueprint, bro.
Well, so-
or and I don't even want to like, because there's no wrong answer.
Yeah, but
I
it's
believe.
not defending anything. I agree with you, but I think
It's top 5.
it's our age and like generation. I'm the same as you. Those other albums came at a point when I was so young that I could go back and appreciate it. But this one I was like conscious enough to like
Wayno was
appreciate
on
the
the block
whole moment.
discussing Nas
Yeah,
and-
Wayno.
I mean,
your
no,
ranking should be completely
I
different.
mean,
Understand
for
that.
me, this was 2003. I was working for Rockefeller 2 years by the time this came out, and like I said, it was like I wasn't able to go to the studio when he did Blueprint. Blueprint 2, everybody was around. Black Album, he kept it really private, and I understood why after we heard the music, like, you know, because he kind of blocked everybody out. I think this doesn't have any features on it either. Like, you know what I mean? This doesn't have any features on it. And it was a lot of things that Jay was saying, because he had like little subliminal bars in there about 50 Cent. Like he was like, damn, what was it? He's like, I didn't have to make up a bunch of shit in my rhymes. I didn't get shot a bunch of times. And it just really gave you perspective on the game. So for this album, I rank it like 3rd to me, only because like Blueprint is that's another moment. And that's why I say about like these albums, like you gotta make moments.
Yeah.
I think that's how we determine really what a classic album is. It's like when we think about your album and how long ago it came out, and we can think about that time, how you affected the game and how you held shit down, that's what makes it classic, when we can always appreciate it for years to come. So for me, it's ranked 3rd on my Jay-Z albums.
Okay. Well, I
It's
mean,
still really high. I thought he was gonna be like it's number 6.
No.
3rd, easily.
Well, honestly, like I think we have it in the same range. I've seen people when they're ranking Jay album, and it's usually big Jay fans, so that's why I don't even argue with them, because like I love and respect Jay-Z, but not enough where I'm like, nah, this is the one. You know what I mean? Nigga gonna tell me I was alive in '96, bruh. You know
Like,
what I mean?
you got this.
You got this, bro. You got
Yeah.
this. But I always thought this was like top 3. Some people put one of them volume joints in there.
You know what? But at the same time, remember when we was talking about like how like with hood music, like we wasn't putting hood music on like before we said something about an album. It was just an album. And at the time, everything was that in that era. So like the volumes were cool, but like this one, it was very personal. You know, he got his mom on there, Encore. Jay was a marketing genius in the sense of us thinking that this would be the last time
That's
we
what
heard
I'm
him.
saying. That's what this album was. Not only
Yeah.
just like a moment in time, but one of the greatest marketing moves in hip hop
Absolutely.
history. Like, it's crazy.
Wait, remember the promo picture that it didn't have like it was like 12. It said 12 songs, right? It said 12 songs that had Swiss beats on there. So he kind of put it in your mind what to expect. You know what I mean? To put, and Swiss beats didn't even make the album. You know, so
Legendary, bro.
legendary
So
moment,
crazy,
legendary
man.
album.
Shit, I remember watching 99 Problems, the video on, I think it was MTV or something. I'm like, yo, this show needs to get shot. Like, this is lit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then,
Yo, it was a
low-key,
big thing about that.
And that's what, like, even about teaching, like, from music to teaching, like, fans who probably, you know, weren't that educated on other shit. Like, I was really listening to 99 Problems, like, word. So you got the trunk locked and
We can do that? That's
He was
really
doing
my
55
rights?
and a 54.
yeah, you need a
No,
warrant
but
for that.
the only problem with that was like, what people don't understand is that they used Jay to teach them the law, and the law is different in every state. So people was acting like they had all of those rights everywhere they went. So they got themselves in a lot of trouble. But with 99 Problems, when the video came out and it was the whole shooting scene, remember that was a big thing where Jay was like, I'm equating it to how Denzel died in Training Day. Like, it's art, so you can do these things. Like, nobody's questioning that when it's a movie, you know. But
you know, it's also funny. The sample for the movie was it Gladiator?
Yeah,
I never saw it. Well, you're a movie guy. You probably saw it.
yeah, hell yeah.
I first heard those sound bites. I was
Here?
like, yo,
What
yeah,
is this?
on the fucking album, yeah.
Right.
And then I watched the movie out, and I couldn't wait to get to those parts. I'm like, oh shit, it's lit.
Yeah.
Dope sampling. I love December 4th.
But you know
I
what?
love when his mom was talking about it, like just kind of talking about her son and how he was growing up. And that song felt hella personal to me. I love when people make personal songs like that.
You know what also struck me about this whole time is like, Jay was, I think, 33 when he made this album, right? So think about the 33-year-old rapper of today as opposed to Jay-Z. And it shows you how, like, Jay is like a one of one, you know what I mean? Like, but I think like when he made Blueprint, that was just a message to all the younger artists that like follow your own path. You can do it a certain way. And then when you look today at certain, even 30-year-old rappers, it's like they didn't have the intellect-wise that he had. But salute. I'm happy that we all agree that this was a moment for us.
You really
all.
thought someone was gonna dispute you here, Wayno?
Nah.
All right, I hope
You know
think,
everybody,
I hope you
I'm
think
being
more
paid by
highly
Roc
of us
Nation
than that.
still. That's
Oh
some
yeah,
shit.
no, stop it, guys. This is an amazing album.
Right.
All right, we're gonna get into some fan questions today. It's a pretty slow week, but you guys have been sending some great stuff. So I really like this first one from Antibody Bag. Does your state determine the buzz you get? Certain rappers claim one state or city and wasn't born or raised there. This, especially if you're from New York, this is like a big debate. So remember when Rocky and the whole mob dropped and everyone felt like they sounded too Houston? New York wasn't really showing them love at first. I think he even told at times, like, what song was it? He said it wasn't on Purple Swag. People didn't really like. They didn't respect him until he dropped Peso. That's they. I don't know who they are. We loved it, but
I love this question.
I love this question too, only because, all right, so when I see people who weren't born or raised there, that's a big thing. Because I have a problem with you implementing certain types of culture into your art, and you don't really know nothing about it because you didn't grow up on the grounds. Now, the thing with Rocky is, me being from Harlem, the first question everybody asks when a new Harlem guy comes out is, who knows him? Where do you go to school? Who he play ball with? All of that. With Rocky, what I really respected about Rocky, he was like, yo, in 2004, I was watching Mike Jones. Like, that was all that was on BET at that time. Remember when Houston had they fucking reign? Mike Jones, fucking Little Flip, Slim Thug, Zero. I mean, UGK was killing it at that time. Paul Wall. For him to be a young kid and that's what he was taking in, that's what he put out. So I wasn't mad at it when he explained it. But your city or state definitely determines your buzz.
yeah.
But it determines your buzz depending upon who's the face of that city or state, the success they have. Because I was just talking about Freddie Gibbs the other day. He's from Gary, Indiana. Nobody's fucking going and recruiting out of there.
Right.
But you got a person that's so dope out of Gary, Indiana. But I think that's due to Freddie Gibbs has had success, but he hasn't had commercial success.
Yeah, so there's so many layers to this. So let's start
Right.
with the Freddie Gibbs example. So Ak, if you're from Gary, Indiana, you're an amazing rapper. There's no rap scene there. Are you at fault if you move to another city and try to acclimate and incorporate parts of their culture, like he said, or like what's the rule book here?
Before we even do that, right? Before we even like go on that tangent or angle, I'll say this because this is so true for me. I give a lot more respect for somebody making it out of Gary, Indiana than out of New York City, 100%. I've always looked at so many different ways where I look at artists in New York and I'm like, if you're somewhere else, you're not popping. If you're somewhere else, no one knows you. You have so much access to every media company. Like, that's even a knock. People even, somebody in Houston or somebody in it could be like North Dakota is like, yo, listen, we love y'all Everyday Struggle. We love y'all at the Breakfast Club, whatever these other outlets, but all media is from New York. Let's keep it real.
Absolutely.
All media is from New York. Wayno probably know a couple niggas from Harlem. Shit, I live in Jersey. So, and I remember that's why when I even started doing my thing, I try to not be that East Coast centric, because I do believe that's an unfair advantage.
But the thing is, artists from New York are always complaining that they're not getting love here as well, though. That's the thing.
Well, guess what? And I'm gonna tell you why. And this is a big conversation, because with artists from New York, I had said something on another platform I was on. I said something about artists from New York not talking about shit, right? And I feel like I listen to certain albums, and personally, we'll go through a lot of shit that another guy will go through in another town. But I think that our skill has been diminished in how we project that in music, because when New York, we always think about, a lot of dudes in New York always think about, they getting money doing that, I'm gonna get money doing that. That's the mindset initially, right? And now it's not so much about the craft. It's like, how can I get this shit going? How can I get myself on to my niggas? And I think that's what holds New York back. But at the same time, New York has shifted, and it's shifted crazy to where a lot of the radios and all of that, they do lean towards what's popping. And then when a guy goes to Atlanta and gets a song with a dude from Atlanta, they still don't get played. But I think that people don't play the game based on music. You got to play the politic game too. That's why a lot of people from New York don't get love, because they don't play the politic game, because they look at it as, sucking dick. You know what I mean? Seriously, that's how they be looking at shit. I'm not sucking dick to do this, and I'm not. And the thing is that in order to be an artist, you got to learn that it's more than just your art. I think it's 10% of your talent is what really gets you going. You got to have all the other things: being on time, being respectful, showing up to shit that you're not going to get paid for. That's what's going to get you on. And a lot of dudes is not willing to do that because they viewed a certain way. In New York specifically. In New York specifically.
Well, I know in New York, when I hear artists from New York, and this is kind of like a bias, right? So people do think once you're on in New York, you're on everywhere. That used to be the case when radio started dying. Now people learned the harsh reality that it wasn't. So everybody who was like, no, I'm good in New York, I don't need to go, whatever. Okay, cool, you're not on. You're only known in those 4 boroughs. But even, is it 4 boroughs? I don't even know, 5?
5.
Oh, yeah. Nigga, I don't know, nigga, I live in Jersey. Anyway, beyond that, you see now, for example, I'll give you 2 artists, and I'm not picking on them, but I'm gonna use an example.
Okay.
I've been hearing a lot about this dude, Lil TJ. I know he's a New York artist. I know I interact with New York people. So for them, whoever is hot within their little, I don't want to call it little, but that close proximity where you live in, that's hot all over the world. There's somebody right now in Gary, Indiana saying, who the fuck is Lil TJ? Right. Somebody in Houston saying, who the fuck is Lil TJ? Now, a lot of times you'll see with media, because it's in New York, okay, well, if it's hot here, let's just push it onto the world. And not even getting that also, this person, I'm gonna use examples. Troy Ave made a XXL freshman list. I forgot what year. I was baffled.
2015.
I was baffled. And salute to Troy Ave, but I didn't think that he was hot across the U.S. He was hot, if he was hot, right, in New York. And he did have a couple of records, right? But I've always looked at that and said, that's kind of like a flawed type of thing. So I put artists from New York through even you have a harder
even if people from the city don't
look,
so one of the things people think is New York can be a little snobby in terms of how we feel about rap, because we are the mecca, and it puts too much pressure on this upcoming generation versus a city like Atlanta, where it seems like the OGs are like, cool, you're making songs, let's do songs together, let's do more songs. You know what I mean?
I say to your point, right, and if you're not from New York and you make it in New York, then you're good everywhere. Seriously, if you're not from here and you could come here and sell out a show, you can probably sell out a show anywhere, because New York has the most critical people on the fucking planet. They'll come out their crib, pay for a ticket, come there, and you tell them put your hands up, and everybody will stare at you like, who the fuck is this nigga? You know what I'm saying? So I think New York's biggest problem is that we think that we're too cool for shit. But to your point about like the younger artists not getting out there, that's due to your team. That's due to your team. Because if you dealing with like management, like if your management can't go to LA and they could go hit up Just Incredible or Sour Milk in them or Big Boy in them, like you got to be able to work the circuit, and it's not just due to the artist. That's why a lot of times like I don't always put it on the label. Sometimes it is the label because they don't understand the artist that they have, and it is the artist because they just thinking that this shit is just some game and they're not approaching it from a business standpoint. You got to approach your music the same way a basketball player approaches playing basketball, fucking practice. That could be writing a 16 every day, working on your vocals. Like, rappers should start going to fucking vocal coaches. You want to know why? Your voice is an instrument, and you got to use it in that way. So I think the initial question was about, you know, does your state determine your buzz? Absolutely, because when you can't get the Migos and you can't get 21 and you can't get Nudie or any of these other guys, you go into Atlanta and say, who's next? Like, who else can I get? Because Atlanta's producing that top-notch product. When New York has, like, the A-Boogies, the Daves, all these other guys, people are looking, but we don't have, like, in New York, I don't feel like we have those CEOs like we used to. Like, we don't have Coach K's and P's no more. You know what I mean? It's like everybody is in a gauntlet trying to outdo each other here, and they're not thinking about everything else.
I got Shotty from Treyway. He's trying to unite it.
Yo, one thing I will say about Shotty is, for me, I know somewhat of his history, and for him to be the type of dude that he is, he's come a long fucking way. He's come a very long way, and I think he should be saluted for that. But at the same time, his approach is what makes him misunderstood. And the artist he deals with, which is 6ix9ine, it's a new thing, and they dealing with a lot of aggression. Everything they do is aggression. So I think your state definitely determines your buzz, but it depends on what you know.
5 years down the line, because of the internet, does it matter as much what state you're actually from in terms of your buzz? Because it seems like if your state doesn't actually fuck with you, there's always the internet route, right? Until you get popular enough that they... But sometimes it takes the internet first before your state circles back.
It does.
Circles back to give you love.
Depends on what rapper you are.
Sure, and I remember Wale like early saying the DMV didn't show him love. He was getting love overseas. Sometimes you got to be popular elsewhere to come back to
Wale's more the creative, artsy, not just trying to put him in that box, but you cannot be a street rapper and get love on the internet before your city. It just can't work. You can't, like, I just haven't seen it.
So it's a different type of rapper.
You can't be a street rapper, respected as a street rapper, and again, like, street rap is a different ecosystem than just putting songs out and blowing up online.
So we're separating the artsy rappers and the street rappers.
But at the same time, you got to remember the street shit is very subjective too, because the internet, right? Like, what is that, right? The internet is what everybody uses the internet. Roddy Ricch, niggas is fucking with Roddy Ricch in New York because they seeing that shit on Instagram. And he's putting out music that's saying, a nigga from the street might say, yo, I'm feeling that same way, I'm going through the same thing. So I think, like, the internet shit is very subjective and particular to each person. If you are a street dude, street dudes is on computers, they on iPads, they on all of this shit now. So you can definitely blow up somewhere else before it hits your city.
I don't feel, like, I get what you're saying, but I don't feel like, say, Roddy Ricch, perfect example, right? And that's why when we went to California that this last time for CompassCon, like, and I was around, I was even outside Long Beach, really interacting with people from Cali, and they were like, yo, nah, we really fuck with him here. I don't think his momentum, because when it gets to my level, he's been buzzing in the city for a while.
Absolutely.
If he wasn't buzzing in the city, those records don't even get, maybe he still makes them, but it's all that momentum from you being the guy in your city that makes that bubbles to, like, my radar.
Yeah.
You get me? So I do think, like, as opposed to a Lil Xan, I don't know where Lil Xan is from. I seen this video online, a Betrayed joint, had a dope little melody and a cute video.
I think it's subjective to each case. Like, that's why I think it's a little bit subjective to each case.
Well, I was just trying to at least say, for example, like, the momentum Meek had is what pushes him into mainstream. The momentum that Roddy Ricch had pushes him.
But at the same time, though, you got to remember something. The internet wasn't at the level, like, when Meek was buzzing, it was no Instagram.
It wasn't the streaming situation.
It wasn't no streaming. It was no Instagram. People was still,
It travels faster now.
Right.
It travels faster now, but like you remember, like with Jay and them, like your city was pushing you or wherever you were
So you're
from,
right that it adds a whole nother level of credibility and the momentum. You're completely right. It's like you could go fact check, like, all right, he's hot as over here. It's not just a joke, but like I think the internet's going to change all of that. I don't think
it
that
does because the internet, and I always say this, it made the world flat. You know what I mean? It made the world flat where.
And not overnight, by the way.
Not overnight.
It's not an overnight thing.
But like literally, I mean, when I went to Japan, it's dudes that's from New York that ain't even popping on their block. They might be popping on their block, but not popping in the next borough or doing sold-out shows. And in Japan, they fucking love them. So that just goes to show you how strong the internet is, where you focusing on just being in New York, you could be in Japan getting money and not even know it.
Where does like a 6ix9ine factor into this equation? Because at first I feel like a lot of people in New York weren't really feeling him, especially like the older audience.
I'm going to get right to that. But right before, and this is what I was saying, like, you could bubble, like if it's certain type of music, and that's why I'm just pinpointing street rap. Like look at Slim Jesus. Yeah, it was some people, his song blew up, Drill Time. Some people said it was hilariously trash, or some people said, oh man, he's talking that shit and he looks like that. And it could have went either way, but it quickly, because there was no support, like he really had no, like it was some goofy kids making a song, it literally just fizzled
that's
out.
such a rough example, though.
No, it's an example. No,
But I see what you mean.
It's an example that counts, because put like this, right? There's this guy right now. He's blowing up in Cali. I posted him yesterday. Shit, when you listen to the lyrics, he's funny as hell. The dude name is Blueface. Like, I think Blueface 100.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I seen him. Mm-hmm.
Like, the lyrics is funny, to be honest. That shit is almost on some Drill Time-esque type of shit. But then, you know what happened? Apparently, in his city, niggas moving, like, how they're moving, like he's in the gang or whatever, people are saying he's official.
What about someone like Jay Critch coming out of New York? Does he need the whole city to rally behind him and keep that momentum going for everyone else to, like, across the coast to take him seriously?
That's a great example. I'm going to tell you why that's a great example, because, like, with Jay Critch, right, this is why the problem I have with New York is like, it's not just the label not doing development, media don't do no development. You know, I feel like Jay Critch deserves acknowledgement, and I've been championing him. Remember, like, even with the XXL freshman cover, I was like, yo, he should have been there. Now, you see a kid, Jay Critch, he doing his thing, and he was doing his thing. The first time I seen him was at Yams Day, like 2 years ago. And he been doing his thing or whatever. It take an Atlanta nigga to come up here.
To sign him.
And then what?
Rich kid was born in New York.
Whatever. The nigga's from Atlanta.
That's so funny, because
he was born in New York. He's from Atlanta. Michael Jordan was born in fucking Brooklyn. He's from North Carolina. Okay. Look, it take a Atlanta nigga to come up here, say, all right, I'ma fuck with you. Because nobody was fucking with Jay Critch. I'ma fuck with you. Now everybody want to jump on his dick.
That's what I mean. Like, how much is...
But that's what I'm saying. People, they not doing no development. I think for a lot of times, like, we got to have, like, when it comes to music, it's a lot of entry-level positions. And it's like, all right, to get on Akademiks' page is a big thing, but you have to earn that. That's not something that you just because you're new, right? And it's levels. So I think if it's somebody that you like, right? Like, let's say you like this kid, you really like their song or whatever, you don't have to have a great relationship with their manager. You don't have to fucking know them. If you like it, support it and push it. Because I feel like Jay Critch should be way bigger than what he is, and niggas ain't supporting him because of maybe one or two things, or he's not here. I think that he's from Brooklyn for real, but he's not visible in the city as much as you'd like him to be. Right. So you can't support him? No, he's from here. Let's champion that shit and let's get him the way he needs to be.
Hey, listen. So back to 6ix9ine, and I want to touch on that Jay Critch thing too. So with 6ix9ine, the song came out, dope song. Of course, at least I just first heard the song, don't know what's behind what. Then I see how he looks, and I'm like, oh shit, this is Slim Jesus, 100%. I said, this is Slim Jesus.
You felt like that when you seen him?
When
the first time you seen him was Gummo?
No, the first song I heard was Gummo.
Yeah.
And I seen a picture of him, and then I remembered there was a meme, a very popular meme of him, Trippy, and like some other guy, and I said, this is the weird looking kid talking tough to get people to buy in, and this is kind of a joke, but it sounds really good. So I'll rock with this song. I don't know. If he ain't had them blood niggas behind him to like everything that said, it'll happen. This doesn't happen. 100%. 6ix9ine can't just drop them records and pop off. If he didn't have that presence, and people start realizing because the association, like, oh, he's linked up with.
So you think it was more them than the stuff he was doing online to bring attention to himself, or was it a good mix of both?
That was what gave his career a second chance because he got buried off of those allegations. But when, and I mean, even now, like, people might not believe him, but they know everything around him is real. Like when you saw the Gummo video, niggas, you knew the niggas in there.
So look, the thing with 6ix9ine, right? The first time I ever seen 6ix9ine ever was it was him and 2 other dudes, and it was a meme, and it was like, name this rap group, right? Because they was looking kind of funny, you know what I mean? Like he had on no shirt or some tight pants. It just looked funny. That's the first time I seen him. When I seen his video, I think what caught everybody off guard was he's the only Mexican around a bunch of black dudes, and he got on a red flag, right? And everybody was like, what the fuck is this? Everybody was like, what the fuck is this? This kid got rainbow hair, he got on a red flag or whatever. And in a lot of ways, he's self-made. He's very self-made because nobody gave him a chance. I didn't even know nothing about the allegations till like way later on after Gummo.
When I meant the video though, what I meant, like, when I saw him, the first time I saw him wasn't a Gummo video. Right. Because even how I met him was like, I remember trying to talk to his label, like, why y'all not pushing this song? This shit's fire, right? I only have seen a picture of him, and I think, like, he we're on Instagram, like, kind of just sitting on, like, he was sitting on steps just kind of talking to the camera, right? But the Gummo, like, so I'm saying the movement with him kind of legitimized them. But yeah, even the Gummo video, like, if he shot a video like Slim Jesus where it was clearly geeks in the background with fake guns, like, we're laughing him out the building. But when you see the Gummo video and you're like, oh shit, yeah, it does look a little weird.
I'm gonna keep it 100, you can't just do that in New York. Like, you can't, the people that he was around, see, that's why it was like, that's why he's having all the things that he's going through, because like the video that he pulled off, you can't just do that. Like the neighborhood he was in, the people he was around, you can't just get to them. And that's what led to his stardom, but that's what could kind of lead to his demise because he had those crazy situations. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's what led to all of that because he associated himself with something in New York that you can't play with.
Yeah. But I mean, to your bigger point, I understand what you're saying, like with guys like a YG or Nipsey. For guys like that, I think it's very important that they have sort of their state and their cities behind them. But yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it applies across the board. At this point.
That's why I kept it to street rap.
Right.
Like, you can't tell me no dude who has nobody in the city fucking with him, but is super popping doing street rap online, right? Because beyond the songs, people now start looking to see, is he really about it?
Yeah, can he dance out here?
And then what happens is because street rap is, I ain't gonna lie, it's like a dog-eat-dog world when it comes to that. Other people who've seen your success is like, I'm about to prove he ain't real, but they're gonna put me on.
But at the same time, and this is just the case with 6ix9ine, I don't view his shit as street rap. I still view it as sort of a parody. I don't view it as street rap. And like, that's no disrespect to him. I'm just saying by his actions. Just by his actions and how he moved doesn't represent exactly what the streets is for me and how I was raised in the streets or how like I grew up within music in the streets. So to me, it's still like kind of a parody. You know? All
right, so to summarize this conversation.
And we could have more conversation about that later. But Jay Critch, this is what I realized when you said, does it really, to get back to the question, does your state or city make you hot? I don't think if you're the hottest in New York and you're only hot in New York, it makes you hot. I'll give you the quick example. Even though I know Baby did a video, or Lil Baby, I'm talking about, did a song with Drake, but I think if you're the hottest in Atlanta, it means a lot more than you're the hottest in New York. Because
that's only because New York ain't New York rap is not where it used to be.
But again, why is it not where it used to be? Is it part of the reason because our standards are so...
or even Memphis. Every time these niggas from Memphis who, honestly, they don't get no press support, they kind of work it, and maybe it is their team. They be working it like the independent artists while they sign. When they drop like a money bag, that nigga gonna put up 40,000. Jay Critch, we can say he the hottest in New York, up and coming to second, third. He gonna drop. He not making the charts.
But you know why? Because we not champion and that's why I said about New York. We not champion in it. We're not, and that's the fucked up thing because it's like, you got all these people here, right? You got all these people, and I say like a Boogie, right? A Boogie should be way bigger than what he is. He should be.
And New York should have championed him harder, you're saying?
He's big though.
He is, but
Explain that.
I'm gonna tell you why, because he's big amongst the kids in New York, right? He's big amongst the kids. Like I said, New York, it's hard here, yo, because a motherfucker could like you, love your shit, all of that, and be like, I'm not gonna fuck with him until he does this. Why not? I went through that with managing artists. Like, I'm not gonna fuck with you until you accomplish this. Or I'm not gonna fuck with you until you do this. And that shit is not fair. See, the thing is that they don't have large media there. In Atlanta, they don't have like a big media scene. So in Atlanta, when they got something that they love, they gonna love it tenfold. We got all the media here, and niggas will be fucking with you heavy and won't say it.
All right, so that's the thing. If all the media is here, right, and all the artists are coming through, there's a ton of artists, there's a ton of music dropping. Are we saying New York media should then prioritize New York artists, or should you?
It's a changing of the guards. New York is the only place. Name me another city.
Has LA changed guards in terms of their media personalities?
No, not that. But like just change in mentality. It's a change in mentality from what you expect the city to sound like. Atlanta, there's nobody on some shit like, yo, man, I'm tired of this nigga Future, man. When these niggas gonna rap like
so back
Andre
to my
3000?
first point, that isn't also our standards.
Yeah,
because how New Yorkers are, we're just wild judgmental.
Because these niggas won't get out their seats.
So basically, you split it below like almost like 25 and below that accepts the new style. Like the most New York nigga who's say 35 and most of them are closed-minded, they're listening to A Boogie and they be like, what is this? You get me? They're not gonna support it like that.
But see, that's the biggest problem I have, because I feel like this, right? Like retirement, right? Like I don't think that you should retire, but I feel like if you a DJ and you've been in a seat for a long time, you should usher somebody else in.
No one's ever gonna do that though.
But this is what I'm saying. This is why
you gotta fight for it.
This is why our city don't grow in a lot of different ways, because it's like when I was 21, I was misunderstood by 30-year-olds. When I was 18, I was misunderstood by 21-year-olds, right? But then as I got older and I started doing shit, them same people is keeping me close because they want to know everything. So my thing is, why you taking my information and not using it? So that's the thing. That's why I don't mind. I never mind mentioning a Jay Critch or Don Q or A Boogies or Lil TJ or TJ Porter or any of these young guys that's coming up, because if we don't, if we have the position, if we're in a position to push something that we like and we don't, then we doing the youth a disservice.
I'll say this. I think you're making a good point, but I think it goes both ways, right? So if you're an upcoming artist, right, and you only want an interview or a look from someone who's been in the seat for 30 years and you're not championing the journalists or the people coming up who are younger, then how can you at the same time be mad when you're not getting those looks because they're...
Hold on. Facts.
Yeah.
You just said that's big facts.
I've always felt like that personally.
But beyond that, we put a little bit too much blame, because every time this conversation comes up when it comes to New York, you hear people say, yo, Flex, you've been there too long. Ebro, you've been there too long. Listen, it's not only media. Those people, you know why they got a job? They're really representing a mentality that exists among you. They're not the only people that feel like that. So, yeah, you get them out of the seat, and then the people who really feel like that, it's still...
Fans is fickle here. Fans are very, very fickle. And that's why I said, like, A Boogie, what really got him rocking was the kids. It was because the kids don't give a fuck. When I was a kid and I seen My Mind Is Playing Tricks on Me by Ghetto Boys, I didn't know that they was from Houston. I didn't give a fuck. I just liked the song. And that's what I'm saying. I think we gotta have more shit where if it's something that we just genuinely like, especially if it's coming from our city, then we have to figure out ways to champion it. Like the same way with everybody got shit that they feel about 6ix9ine. But it's no way possible he shouldn't have did Summer Jam.
I got you, but I'm gonna put some of it on the artist too.
It is. It's on a lot of people. It's a lot of disconnection.
You're blaming the artist for
I'm not blaming them. I'm not blaming. I'm just putting a little bit on it. You know what I mean?
He's blaming the media person. I'm blaming, honestly, the fans. I think you got to age motherfuckers out. Because when I believe only 30% of the people who love music in New York are open to the new styles from New York artists.
I can't dispute that.
And when you deal with a big city
just so
like
we're not
this,
shitting just on New York media specifically, right? You guys feel like it's different in different cities. People age and you grew out of this stuff. Just like you might listen to Lil Peep and be like, sorry, this is not for me.
No,
this is the next generation. It's not fair to put it just on New York.
I walked through Atlanta airport, and I had a good 5 minute. I was going through TSA. I had a good 5 minute conversation with the guy. He had to be 40 plus about Takeoff's album. They really like not saying that's the only thing they've ever listened to, but they're open to the current scene. They're
Guess
not
what?
like, okay, music for me stopped before music, the sound changed.
All right, guess what? So you wanna know why? Because we so fucking, and my thing is this, right? Tradition is cool, but things change. And we so struck and fucking hell-bent on our traditions and all these traditions that we don't accept what's new. The Migos did not have to, if we talking about tradition, why the Migos don't sound like Outkast? Why Future don't sound like Ludacris? They could do different shit and be accepted. Gucci, all these niggas could do different shit and be accepted. But in New York, A Boogie gotta sound like Jadakiss for
Being the
motherfuckers that love
birthplace
him.
of hip hop
It's
is
the
a gift
Mecca,
and a
man.
curse.
It is,
happens,
and it's kind of crazy, but I gotta agree with Ak in a sense because niggas need to open up their minds because
I
guess
agree
what?
with it, but I think again, if you're an upcoming artist and you're only gonna do interviews or give looks to the biggest media personalities who've been around for decades, you can't always turn around and complain that other people aren't supporting you. There
can't.
are upcoming journalists who will give you a look. You know what I mean? But
Absolutely.
you're not giving them the look. So
But you know what? And that goes back to the artist's team because a lot of people is not well versed.
Right.
Like it's a lot of people that don't know that you are a very highly respected journalist. Like on some real shit.
yeah, I'm the girl who just sits in the middle of you two all day.
And I hate that. No, I'm dead serious. I hate that people try to equate you to that and they don't do their fucking homework. Cause my thing is like, if like Miss Info and Angie and all of them wasn't heralded and held in a certain spot, then a lot of Jay-Z interviews is what made us go listen to the music, cause that was the only outlet we heard them speak on. They didn't have Instagram and none of that shit.
Yeah.
So I think it's to the person's team to say, all right, this person is actually writing good articles and they might not be them, but let's see how we could grow with them. My whole thing is about growth.
Media should grow with the artists. It would
Absolutely.
help. It would help.
You see, these days, and this is my last point. We can move on.
You're fine. This was the whole
This was
episode.
the one
So
question.
you're
No,
good.
no.
But it was a really, who's the brother that sent us this?
Body bag.
Entertainment Body Bag. Thank you so much.
Nowadays, with like, to that point, I kind of do blame the artists because what happened is people have replaced the need for media with social media. And they're like, well, the fuck I need to go chop it up with Child. I got everybody on my Instagram. It's not the case. And also, they really don't champion a lot of new artists. Like, and again, of course, I was in a way more developed stage of my career, but you see how, look at me in 6ix9ine. Shit, look at how I was instrumental when it came to drill music. Me and Dirk, me and Keith, we still have a relationship. Like, if you're an artist coming up, again, maybe it doesn't have to be somebody who writes articles. Maybe it could be a YouTuber. Maybe it could be someone who fucks with you. You gotta support who supports you. Yeah. So if you from like for example, I feel like, salute to my man DJ Ghost. You know what I mean? He's a very influential dude. He's from the West. Shit, I watch him sometimes because I want to figure out how the people from the West are feeling. If you an artist coming out of the West Coast and you might be watching like everyday struggling and discussing me and I'm hot, you should be championing the guy who is discussing you.
Yep.
He's from where you're from.
Big facts.
And you do help create those voices that's gonna support the ecosystem that you are gonna flourish in.
Yeah, I think
people don't think about that.
Yeah, bro, when I was at MTV.
And that might go back to what you say in terms of a team.
Right.
Yeah.
Like your manager is supposed to be like, there's been hella managers to be like, listen, shit, I could even tell you like, listen, maybe 6ix9ine didn't understand who I was at first. The first time me and Trippie ever talked, and by the way, 6ix9ine signed to the same person. The person who signed them, Trippie went off on me. And the person who signed him called Trippie and said, yo, you cannot do that. We gotta build a relationship with y'all where even y'all gotta like each other, but y'all have to coexist because he's supporting the ecosystem that you flourish in. You get me? And I use myself as an example because you're right. Even for the dudes who are super lyrical. Maybe I ain't the one, right? But there's definitely somebody else. You gotta give your energy
It's
to him.
everyone.
Right.
You know? When I was at MTV, like, this was back when Chance had just dropped Acid Rap. I loved it. I loved him. I brought him and Vic up. The executives at MTV didn't know who the fuck Chance were. It was like
But that
months
was your
before they started taking notice, and then they would put him on every special, but you'll never get that credit. And then the artists blow up, and they're like,
Now they wish
on
they
to
could
the
get him.
It's just like, yo, you gotta grow.
I think the biggest thing for us, not just New York, but just hip hop as a whole, because hip hop is not like, New York. I mean, hip hop started in New York and all of that, and it's traveled all over the world. I think that we just got to start having more honest conversations. I feel like we got to get off a lot of people got to get off their fucking high horse and start saying, yo, if I like you, let's have a conversation. Because you might not have the information to grow. And the only, I think that knowledge is the only currency. I look at knowledge as currency because it could get you everything. And knowledge is the only currency that you can't be taxed on. So my thing is that if you a young artist and I fuck with you, I'm gonna give you some game. Now what you do with that game is all up to you. But I think that before, when it was the biggies and this whole golden era, it was more dialogue. It was more dialogue, and it's not just, like, don't send me a fucking gift so I could talk about you.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't need that. If I like you, let's have a conversation. Even if I don't know you, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, when that dude does blow up and then everybody tries to get him, that's where the arrogance comes in. They wasn't fucking with me when I was on the grind.
Right.
Feel me?
Right.
And I still believe, listen, give New York 15 years when.
Damn.
Nah, seriously. No.
Yeah.
When the people right now are 25, turn 40 then.
Yeah.
And they're now seen as the old heads or whatever, but I would expect them to still have the mentality of openness. You don't have to love everything, but openness. You know what I mean? Okay, let me see what this young dude who his style is just straight, just like rapping without teeth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just straight mumble. Who knows? But it's if your whole city still expects the 90s, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
You get me? And you're stunning your own growth. That's when you get artists. Shit. I don't want to speak for Richard Kid, but Richard Kid's probably like, yo, I'm glad I dipped. If I had stayed here rapping like the fourth Migo, they would have told me I was trash, and I probably gave up and just started selling weed.
Well, just balance, man. Let's balance it out.
And new voices, yo. I put this out there so much. If you are upcoming rapper from a different region, bruh, listen, stop thinking you only got to get to me. You need to
Grow
start
with the people
fucking
on
with
your level. Grow with the people on your level.
Not even have to be on your level, but like you got to learn and be like, yo, act not into the music I'm into. Nigga, I'm not into some of y'all niggas' music.
Right.
You'll never get me into it. I'm a person, right? The person who is into your music, there's hella people who likes all type of different music.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And you're not the only outlet.
Fuck with that person heavy,
Yep.
champion them as they're gonna champion you. Y'all build each other and y'all build an ecosystem, you'll survive it.
Yep.
You get me?
He keeps using this ecosystem word.
Ecosystem.
He must have went to his lawyer and his lawyer said
Nah,
that.
man. I'm telling you because, like, you see, when I was creating my platform, I tried to build an ecosystem that I could always survive in.
Yeah.
Right.
That I wanted to not be artist centric, but more about that new generation type of thing.
Right.
And I
So
feel like I kind of did.
in a lot of ways. Right.
And if you know, like, this is a random thought, but like, for example, I seen TK when he got removed off of the Spotify playlist. He announced, "Yo, I got my own playlist," and I went on to his playlist, and it wasn't just him. He had other artists that really was in the same type of realm as him.
Right.
That's an ecosystem, right? Whoever loves that, whoever loves the, he had songs from some songs from like NBA YoungBoy. Whoever loves those songs probably love your music. That's your ecosystem. Now, what makes that ecosystem thrive and build and grow? You got to support all aspects of it. Media is always going to be important. No matter how much you think you got social media, you can just get on and get it lit.
Right.
Yeah, you could have 10 million followers, and then if you don't use it right, nigga's not there anymore. You get me? So you have to leverage everything around. I'm just saying that was a good point.
Right.
Thank you.
Good conversation.
Wow, we
today,
did a whole
guys.
episode on one fan question. You guys are the best. We really appreciate it. I just wish you would send videos. We still want to see your faces when you do these.
ENT Body Bag just got a cheat code. He about to get signed tomorrow.
Right.
Oh,
real.
man. All right, I guess that's our show, unless you guys have anything to add before we go for the weekend, my friends.
This next topic might be 20 minutes soon, so we gotta go.
No, we're not. We're
We
definitely
gotta
not
save
doing this
for
one.
maybe next week.
For another slow news week. All right, guys. We're not here tomorrow.
Well, I do have something that I am doing in Harlem. I'm gonna be doing the first
Whoa.
annual. What?
Give it away.
Are you trying to get a mob to pull up, or
No, I'm not
what's...
trying to get a mob. I'm not trying to get a mob. But if you follow me and all right, so we ain't gonna go crazy. But if you follow me and you follow what I'm doing some give backs where we're trying to feed 100 families. You know, we're trying to feed 100 families in Harlem. You can check my social media out and get the information. And even still, you know, Complex, we're doing a giveaway as well. So you can bring stuff as well there that we'll have for our Complex giveaway.
This guy's really trying to create like a mob scene.
No, I'm not.
Wayno's
I'm
doing
not.
something great for the community,
I'm
and
not.
we're gonna film it so you guys can see it in Everyday Struggle next week.
Right.
Please don't create chaos, because
No,
I'm
it's
not
not
there
gonna be
to
no-
supervise this Friday.
It's not going to be no chaos. It's not going to be no
good.
chaos. We all come into all of this with love and
Good.
respect for one another because we're trying to feed one another.
Yep.
It's a lot of unfortunate families that don't have the means to be able to get a dinner, so we're trying to provide that for them. That's it. That's cool.
Some Thanksgiving stuff or just
Yeah.
in general?
Yeah, no, well,
Thanksgiving.
with Thanksgiving stuff, we're giving away bags of sides, you know, to 100 families, you know.
Okay, that's dope. I like that.
And people who may not be able to get a bag, if you would like to provide something, that's something that we could take back with Complex and we can give away. So
Yeah. Check out his socials. You'll find it. He's going to be in Harlem tomorrow.
I'll be in Harlem tomorrow, the place that raised me and made me. It's on my hand. Check it out. You know what I mean?
Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you have an amazing weekend. We'll see you here Monday, 11:30 on Complex.
Did some drug dealer used to give some shit away in Harlem?
Here the fuck he go.
No, for real though.